Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to help you to open your mind, get curious about yourself and raise your consciousness levels. Through these conversations, we hope that you will go on an inward journey to discover the truth of who you are and become the conscious creator of your life. I am your host, Karen Maloney, and I work as an inside-out coach, mentor and guide, helping women to revolutionize their internal chatter and create a life they love. Listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or whatever platform you choose. And be sure to like, subscribe, review, and share the podcast. Check out my website as well, soulpowerlight.com, for more info. Hello everybody. Welcome back. It's me, Karen Maloney, and thanks for tuning in for another episode. Just a reminder again before we get stuck into today's amazing episode. Again, if you would like to join my mailing list, go to my Instagram handle at soulpowerlight. Click the link in the bio and it's top of the list. I look forward to seeing you there. So then I have a super fascinating guest for you today and a brilliant conversation with Cordell Jacks. And Cordell is a dream coach sharing his lifelong passion of studying the psychology, science and global lineage practices of dream work. He believes that our dreams are one of our greatest and most overlooked assets as a civilization and can teach and shape our paths more profoundly than any system of knowledge or waking experience can. Cordell teaches people how to access, recall and work with their dreams, transforming the two most important hours of your day, those spent in dream, into a powerful medium for personal growth, healing and self-discovery. Cordell works with individuals and organizations, offering courses, workshops, private coaching and dream interpretation sessions. He's been studying dream work for over 20 years and has studied under a multitude of teachers. He is a globally recognized social innovator entrepreneur and is living the dream as a husband and father to a beautiful 2-year-old daughter on Vancouver Island. Well, I think you'll hear in this conversation as well how much I enjoyed connecting with Cordell and talking about all things dreams and why they're so important for us to begin to learn to develop and use as a tool to enhance our life really in all aspects, as Cordell shares. So in this conversation, he talks about what led him to really study more about dreams and dream work. After a serious accident left him unable to run. He also talks about the difference between dream state and creative visualization, the reason why you can't recall your dreams, and also a simple tool to help you to begin to recall your dreams and working with your dreams. He also talks about the different dream phases, and we also go into the deeper curiosities about dreaming and where it is that we actually go when we dream. So there's so much in this conversation, and Cordell is so knowledgeable, and I just really enjoyed this conversation, as I'm sure you will as well. And if you want to check out more on Cordell's work, you can go to his website www.cordell, that's Cordell Jacks, Jacks, CordellJacks.com. And as always, I will have it linked from the show notes on my website, soulpowerlight.com. Enjoy. Welcome everybody, and thanks for tuning in for another episode. You're very welcome, and thanks as always. And today I have another super guest for you, and today joining me is Cordell Jacks. So first of all, Cordell, you're very welcome and thanks for joining today.
Thanks so much for having me, Karen. I'm really excited for our conversation here.
Well, so am I, because you are a dream coach. So first of all, I'd love for you to just explain a little bit, well, what your work entails as a dream coach, and maybe a little bit about what led you to doing this work.
Yeah, thanks. A dream coach is really someone who helps people get in touch with their dream life. All of us dream 2 hours every single night, but most of us don't know how to utilize those 2 hours and those experiences that we have in dream time. And so a lot of what I do is teach students how to, 1, recall their dreams, 2, how to have some intentionality around their dreams, to ask different questions, intend different experiences, as well, once they begin to recall their dreams, how to make sense of these weird, often bizarre experiences that we have at night, and ultimately how dreams can really be a source of inspiration, a source of meaning, and ultimately how dreams come in the service of our growth and our wholeness as people. And really my job is to help unlock the power each of us has to make the most of what is usually considered an unconscious aspect of our days and really make that an opportunity for super consciousness and for growth in our everyday life.
Love that. Super consciousness. Here we go. And we'll delve more into it. But has this always been something that's been interesting to you? Or when did you start discovering the power of really working with your dreams?
Yeah, I think like many people in their young life, I was a dreamer. I had lots of dreams when I was young. I had some nightmares. And I even had some lucid dreams in my teenage years, as many people do. And then when I was in my early 20s, I was graduating through business school, and I was dating a woman whose mom happened to be one of the world's foremost dream psychologists. And she really turned me on to a dream work practice. And first of all, I didn't even know that dream work was a school of academic study. So I was just fascinated. And as I began to learn more about what she studied, lucid dreaming practices, those practices where you are aware that you're dreaming within a dream, and all of the different opportunities to play with dream time, it just became a personal passion of mine. And I've spent the last 20 years attending workshops from different lineages and teachers around the world and really just reading everything that I possibly could on dreaming.
Wow, I love it. And I'm just really curious right now to ask, what is the most potent thing that you have learned from your dreams or engaged with your dreams in some way that has been most beneficial in your life?
Yeah, there's two aspects there. The first aspect I would say is healing, which is something I didn't quite know was possible in our dreaming. And the second is inspiration, imagination, and creativity. So first of all, with healing, I came to be a dream coach. I'm originally a background in social innovation and international development, but I came to become a dream coach a few years ago after I had a series of accidents. I had 5 knee surgeries, 9 months in bed, and ultimately came away from those surgeries without the ability to run ever again. And that was a big blow to my life. I was an Ironman triathlete. I played in bands. And I was no longer able to do what I could do before. I couldn't jump around on stage. I couldn't do any of these events. And I ultimately became pretty depressed after that. And it wasn't until I recognized, hey, I can still run in my dreams. I can intend to incubate lucid dreams where I'm running. And I'm going to try doing that. And it was one night that I found myself lucid in a dream. I started running down a riverside of a city I used to live in. And I woke up sweating, my heart beating, just feeling exhilarated. And aside from that experience, it really helped me deal with some of the grief of the loss that I had over my knee. And that really kind of opened me up to, wow, our dreams really have some healing power, of which has helped me go on to unlock some of my own past trauma, some of my own healing, and as well support others in looking at some of their past experiences. And then the second piece is really inspiration and creativity. Back in my business career, I would use dreaming to prepare for big speeches. If I knew I had a big speech coming up, I'd intend to go into my dreams, practicing those speeches, imagining the room I'd be giving the speech, the people in the audience I knew would be there. So by the time I actually gave that speech in waking life, I had done it so many times. It wasn't a question of if I could do it. It was a question of how well I was going to do it. And I utilized that as a real tool for my own just advancement in life. But then I started really understanding, hey, this is a source of inspiration, a source for business ideas, a source for personal ideas and creativity. And once I started to use that as a place to inspire me, that just opened up a whole other aspect of value from dream life. And so the more that I started to get out of my dream time, the more it just made a lot of sense to me that, hey, why wasn't I taught about this? Most others probably aren't taught about this. How can I share some of the wisdom that I've learned over all of these years? And that really brought me to becoming a dream coach.
Amazing. I love it. And, I've had so many moments of so many different things. I think when we're either led or guided or go on a self-exploratory journey, so many times it's like, why aren't we taught this? There's so much power, and especially within us and connecting to whether dreams or own consciousness and things like that. But so many questions I want to ask, but something that's just popping up. First of all, from what you mentioned when, using your dream state for preparing for meetings or different things that are coming up in life, how is that different, or is it different to doing like a creative visualization in your meditation, say throughout a day, where you're actively, seeing the scene and in it? Is there a difference between doing it that way or in dream state?
Yeah, it's a really good question. There is, in that we all know that active visualization can be really important in preparing for sports and preparing for quite honestly anything. The difference is that when you are in a dream, we're often unaware that we're in the dream, or even when we are lucid and aware that we're in the dream, we are fully embodied in that dream. Have you ever woken up from a nightmare, Karen?
Yeah, probably a long time ago. But yes, no, definitely. You're going to laugh, but something that used to really scared me when I was young, and I would wake up like that you mentioned, in a panic and sweat going, it would be being chased by cows. I was terrified of cows. I'd never even been chased by cows, I don't think, as far as I remember. And I would have this dream where they'd be looking at me and I'd start running and I'd wake up in a panic.
Sure. And you know what it feels like when you wake up, your heart pounding, you're sweating, your emotions are just in overwhelm.
Totally.
That is a sense of deep embodiment that we get from the dreams that is a difficult thing to conjure up with our active imagination. Yeah. It's like entering a supremely real virtual reality state. And so when we can utilize our dreams to prepare for something, to work on problem solving, we are in a state of deep embodiment. And aside from just cognitively imagining what we need to do, there's something about stirring those emotions, about feeling it throughout your body that helps us unlock some of the problem solving or creativity that needs to be worked through.
Wow. Amazing. And before we get into maybe some details on how exactly, because, you mentioned earlier recalling dreams, and I think a lot of people, myself included, I have this story of, I can never remember my dreams. So we'll get to how maybe one might get to building a practice to consciously remembering. But you mentioned that we dream for 2 hours every night. Are there different dream states, and is there a particular time when we are especially in dream state?
Yeah, those are great questions. I'm going to jump on a couple of things there. First of all, on recall, many of us say, we don't remember our dreams anymore. Most people don't recall their dreams because they don't make space in their life to recall dreams. One of the first things I do is get students to just commit to 5 minutes a day. Couple of minutes before bed and a couple of minutes when they wake up. Set your alarm a few minutes early and just know that you're going to sit there in a state, a liminal state, a kind of in-between state of waking up and having been asleep, and just to try and recall your dreams. Just make a little bit of time to do that. And often that's enough for many people to start actually recalling their dreams. And for many of the listeners here, if they'd like, I have a 7-day free dream recall challenge. I send you a video every single day, and 95% of people, after 7 days of just learning a few tricks and making a little bit of time in their life, can start to recall a couple of dreams per week. So recall is usually not the difficult piece of it. What is difficult, to your second question, is, are there different dream states and are there particular times when you dream more? The difficult part is that most of us don't have very good sleep hygiene practices. We're in a very productive, very busy, always on social media world. And so the research is in, we all need 7 to 8 hours of sleep to get the optimal recovery, ultimate emotional processing and memory consolidation. And most of us just don't get that. And even if we do get 7 to 8 hours in the bed, it's often disrupted sleep from screens and caffeines. And so the hard part is getting 7 to 8 hours of really good, productive sleep. And why that's important is because we dream during our REM cycles, the rapid eye movement cycles, when our body is paralyzed, when only our eyes are moving under our eyelids. And that happens in 90-minute intervals at night. And we start with 5-minute dream cycles earlier in the night, and those extend to upwards of 20-minute dream cycles just before we wake up. And so it's really important that if we're going to get the most out of our dreaming, the best time to dream is those 7th and 8th hours, when we can really get the 20-minute times and when we're most likely to remember deeper experiences in our dreams.
Wow. It's funny you mentioned that, because I'd never realized that. But oh my God, now that you say that, especially, you know, the longer dream state right before you wake up, myself and I'm sure many people, we've been in a state where it's like, you know, like you're saying, that full embodied virtual reality experience, and you're in the thick of it, and next thing, oh, you wake up or the alarm goes off and you're like, what? That was, well, if it's a really good one, it's like, oh my God, that was so incredible. And within seconds, I'm like, what? I can't remember what was happening.
You know, one of the pieces is really to, when you do recall your dreams, is to do something with them. And as unsexy as it sounds, one of the simplest and best tools to start recalling your dreams is just to have a journal next to your bed, grabbing any little piece of recall that you have. You might remember only a symbol and just saying, okay, I only remember a lampshade from my dreams. Even just taking the moments to write, I remember a lampshade from my dreams, that process, those few seconds as you're writing, often unlock something which brings back more recall. And so just getting into a habit of doing some journaling is really kind of the baseline effort of how to start working with your dreams. But very quickly, once you start doing that, a whole other world opens up. And not just, you know, these fantastic experiences and different bizarre experiences at night, but ultimately, like I said in the beginning, these are experiences that I believe, and many dream work lineages believe, are here as an internal guidance system, are really here in the service of your growth. And so whether it is, you know, things that are bubbling up from your subconscious mind, what's in our subconscious, but things we've denied, repressed, suppressed, that are just itching to be given some attention, that are yearning to be expressed, our dreams will bubble these up for us, often when we most need them. And so a dreamwork practice quickly moves from, wow, I'm remembering these fantastical experiences every night, to, wow, these dreams are sending me messages. And that's where it gets a little more complicated. These dreams are sending us messages that we need to learn to decode. And we have to do a little bit of work with these dreams. If it was that easy that, oh, I need to pay more attention to this aspect of my life or this relationship, then we would do that in our waking life. But our dreams are designed as puzzles. They're designed to make us work, to look at something new and to see something from a different perspective. And that's where a little bit of interpretation, a little bit of play, and a little bit of fun with our dreams often goes a long way in helping us feel secure and open to seeing things from a new light.
And this may seem like a strange question, but I'm wondering, where do we go when we dream?
That's a great question. The ultimate answer is, I don't know. And no one does. You know, we've made a lot of progress in the past 100 years in terms of research and technology and EKGs and all sorts of things to try to understand what happens when we go unconscious, when we go into this other altered state of consciousness. And I think there's something incredible by not having the answer. You know, we live in a scientific, rational world that truth is proof, and we're always looking for the best answers. But because no one knows the answer, it's a mystery. And with that mystery, we get to imagine. We get a sense of curiosity. We get a sense of awe. We get to explore for ourselves and our own personal sacred experiences that we each individually have. And that's, I think, something really important in this very connected, shared world that we all have. Having our own little unique universe, our own deep experiences, allows us to ask some of the big questions of ourselves, of life in general. And so, I don't know, and there's a deep beauty in that.
Yeah, totally. But the fact that you even say, you know, we are all each individually our own unique universe, I absolutely say that all the time to all my clients and everything, because it's true. Like, there is a whole universe inside of us. You know, it's the macro and the microcosmic. It's as within, so without, as above, so below. You know, it is, we're kind of it and nothing all at once. But, you know, I only ask that question because in the last couple of months, I feel like it's been coming up strongly for me that I'm like, oh my God, I feel like in dream state, it's like actually going home, as in going back to the essence and the spirit and that energy that we all are, that is source. And that's why, and I haven't started actively working in any way, but that's why, as you're mentioning, it is really potent and can get so much guidance and messages for ourselves and our path. And I believe, anyway, my hypothesis is because possibly it's really going back and connecting back to source, to the truth of who we are. Because, even as you mentioned the word virtual reality, I nearly feel like going to sleep and going into dream state is actually going back to the truth of who we are. And then when we wake up, this is the virtual reality that we're living. But again, like you're saying, with that consciousness, with that connecting to it, bringing messages from there to help in your daily life, in your creativity, in, uncovering or healing whatever we need to do. So, that's...
I love that. I absolutely resonate with everything you just said. And ultimately, this question of where we go gets pretty spiritual pretty quickly. We what are these altered states? What is this inner other that is trying to support me in my growth, that is sending me messages in the service of my wholeness, and looking at some of these limiting beliefs that I've taken on from social conditioning and just life getting lifey over the years, that it's trying to unblock me from. And I think that whatever that is, whoever this inner other is that pure wholeness, that place, that thing, that us, that energy that is trying to bring us to what we truly are. And I love thinking of that, whether you call it your higher self, your subconscious mind, the collective unconscious, source, the universe, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, knowing that ultimately this is part of your wholeness. And I couldn't agree more. It's this inner other that, look, if 95% of our decisions, habits, beliefs, and attitudes we know are unconscious to us, we really should be in conversation with that unconscious aspect, those subconscious aspects. And dreams are the interface. Dreams are one great interface to do that. And they're such a great interface because they happen every single day. They keep your work, your self-development, your growth front and center every single night. And when we work with them with some intentionality, they keep us on an ever-growing pattern.
Fascinating. Love it. And what a great description as well. Inner other. Love that. I love that language and words. So well then, I know you've mentioned about tools and even simple ways to help recall dreams, and having a journal there and just taking 5 conscious minutes, at the start of the day, at the end of the day, to just really remember something. But then what are some techniques? And obviously it's deep as well. It is another process, but what are some techniques or some tips that you could share that are possible to share, say, for people who do want to start interacting with that interface and do want to be a bit more conscious going into whether go to sleep in the first place, and to interact in that dream state to really help and support themselves in some way in their daily life then?
Yeah, for sure. So first step, as I said, try and get some good sleep. Health is the basis. Sleep is the basis of all health. And so try and make that a priority. Secondly, before bed, just write in your journal, I intend to recall my dreams. If you have questions, I would like to know more about this. Show me something about this issue in my life, this challenge. How might I come to a greater sense of wholeness or abundance or whatever that may be? Just write it down. Words have power, and when we make those words manifest, that ultimately opens our mind and our psyche to receiving any messages, again, from higher self or wherever it comes from, that might support us in that growth. One of the best tools that I always get students to try, build a habit on top of a habit that you already have. Habit stacking. Put a Post-it note on your bathroom mirror that just says, tonight I will recall my dreams. So that while you're brushing your teeth, hopefully a habit that's already locked in, you will open your mind to, oh yeah, I'm going to really work on my dream work as I go to bed. I'm not just going to drop out unconsciously. I'm going to put some intention into this space. And then just relax. Put down the worries of the day, put down the emotions and the energies of the day, allow yourself to let go. Don't worry about the things of tomorrow. You'll pick those things back up. Use this state to just relax and be in a state of openness. And oftentimes, this will just start coming to you. That little bit of intentionality will start coming. And then the last piece is anything that does come to you, try and integrate it into your waking life. Writing it into your journal is a great first step. If there's, someone that comes into your dream that you haven't thought about for 10 years, send them a message. Say, hey, hope you're doing well. Had you in a dream last night. Hope all's well. These things often open up more for us. And as we start to honor our dreams in this way, bringing them into our waking life, what we start to see is that we're connecting our waking consciousness and our dreaming consciousness, and they start to mutually support each other. We start to gain value from them. And with that, you're integrating both aspects of your lived experience.
Love it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited for bedtime to come to. But it's like everything, like you're saying, it is setting that intention in the first place, because if we are not consciously directing our focus and our intention, it will be on things that maybe we don't want. We're being pulled in every direction in any sense of the word. So even, I use that a lot. I intend to. Whatever it is. So in this case as well, I intend to recall my dreams, and the power of our intention is everything. And it's just like directing and focusing the mind. But I even love, that extra layer that you're sharing as well, of even asking a question or, showing us something on an issue and things like that. So really exciting. And thank you so much for sharing all that. I'm curious as well, what's been your most, maybe it's too personal, but what's been your most profound dream or experience within a dream, or whether a lucid dream that was really just like mind-blowing?
Yeah, I can share a lucid dream that really has changed my life and has stayed with me forever. As I started practice lucid dreaming, I become aware that I'm dreaming, and most people want to have sensorial experiences when they start. They want to, as I say, fuck, frolic, or fly. And many people, will try flying right away. And as I got better at this, I started recognizing, hey, why am I holding on to this body of Cordell? I don't need to be Cordell. I could be two Cordells. I could be someone else completely. And quickly, I just manifested myself into a herd of buffalo running across the plains in a stampede. And as I was stampeding, I realized, whoa, okay, why be a sentient being? I can be the ocean. And all of a sudden, I had this experience of just, as best as I can describe it, vastness. And as soon as I did that, as soon as I felt that, I was like, I can be the universe. And it's very difficult to explain what that experience was like, because you and I communicate based on language, which is, agreed upon through our senses. And no longer am I using my senses in this state, but I had a lasting awareness. And I can tell you, I woke up from that feeling just energized in a way that I'd never felt before in my life. And for 2 weeks, that feeling of like, whoa, I just had some awareness of source energy, of universe consciousness that I'll never, be able to have again in waking life. Maybe I can, maybe some meditative states or some psychedelic states might bring me to that. But it was so profound that it just kind of opened my mind up to, we are so much more than our waking material reality allows us to be, if we're willing to let ourselves go there. And that's just continued to open my mind to the explorations that can be done in our dreaming space, and that ultimately have a real ripple effect in my waking state as well.
Amazing. Yeah, love that. We are so much more. But again, it's experiences, really, like you're sharing, of whatever way they come, and maybe they're not as profound, but having an experience really is what makes the shift and does create some lasting change, as opposed to thinking just cognitively all the time. Lucid dreaming, obviously it's a process, and I imagine a practice, but what are some of the steps to get into being able to lucid dream kind of on demand?
Well, it's never quite on demand. There are a few people that are able to get it, and that takes a lot of practice. But, for most people, we're in a default mode where we just assume everything is real going on around us. All day long, you're not asking yourself, am I awake or am I asleep? You just kind of assume I'm awake. That same default mode runs through our dream time as well. Even if a pink elephant is flying by in your dream, your default mode is to assume this is real, this is real.
Wow.
And so by starting to question, am I awake or am I dreaming throughout your waking days, you will start to question that as well in your dream states. Now, there are a number of processes you can do. How do you know, Karen, right now, that you are awake and that you are not in a dream?
Yeah, who the hell knows? It's all one big dream, huh?
Well, I mean, there are ways to check it. Is gravity working? Are the laws of physics? Can I see details in the objects around me? There's a whole number of checks we can do.
There totally is, but it still lies the question. Is it real or dream? But yes, I can quantify my awakeful dream state by things and touch and senses. Surely, absolutely.
Yeah, so starting to do some of those checks again and again just gets you, it plants a seed in your psyche, and you'll start to do them in dreams. And then all of a sudden in dreams, you'll do one of those reality checks and you'll realize, holy cow, I'm dreaming. Now what do I want to do? And that's ultimately where I help students prepare a game plan. You need to have that game plan kind of burned into your psyche so you're not stumbling, what am I going to do in this infinite potential space? Okay, I'm going to fly today. Okay, I'm going to be a buffalo tonight, whatever that might be. But to your earlier point, and you said this earlier as well, I wanted to jump on it, is this a big dream? There are many lineages and many peoples from around the world that think, our dream time is the real source. Australian Aboriginal people in particular are well noted for this. The dream time is the real time, and this is but a dream that we've manifested from that true source. Yeah. There are Indigenous people in South America who believe that we are holding this dream, this collective dream together, and that whether we do that through prayer or shamanic experiences or others, who's to say that this reality, this waking reality, is any more real than that different and sometimes bizarre and fantastical reality that we go to in dreams or in altered states or in trance or in meditation. I think that all of our different states of consciousness have something to teach us. And I think the more that we honor any of these states of consciousness, the more we see through different lenses, the wider a perspective and the more colorful a picture that we get. And again, to what you said earlier, all of these are in service of our wholeness. All of us are getting us to that place of our true, original state, our infinite potential.
Amazing. Yes. And yeah, there's so many different lineages and, I suppose truths that they hold that about different realities and things like that. And that this is, not the ultimate reality, but it's where we're at the moment and is being held by all of us who are here and humans who have come before and things like that. But again, it comes back to that, saying of being the dreamer of your own dream or dream a new dream. And I think now, through all the transitions and everything that's going on in the world, we literally all need to start dreaming a new dream. And that starts with, like you've mentioned before, even already, intention. Even in our wakeful state, the intention of where do we want our focus? Where do we want to be going? Where do we want, how do we want the world to look? I
think you make a really important point there. What we've been going through these last 18 months or so is really a collective hibernation of sorts. And as we're starting to come out of this hibernation, I think it's an important question that we all should be asking. Yeah, what world do we want to dream ourselves into? And what truly at a personal level wants to be expressed? What inner energy is wanting to come out? And again, looking to our dreams for that inspiration is the precursor to our creativity. And I think that we're all here to be, living inspired lives, being the creators of our own dream life here. And so I think it's a fantastic way to just tap into that inner self that just is yearning to get out.
Totally. And like you mentioned earlier at the start of the conversation, being a child, you were always fascinated by dreams and, daydreaming or in that state and inspiration and creativity in that. And, I think that's an invitation as well, what we're going through for us all to connect back to imagination and not be so linear and like fixed. We've literally forgotten who we are and we've forgotten the power, like you said before, that we hold within, but that our imagination has as well. Even you've mentioned the word, like without us setting an intention, without us choosing to shift our focus, nothing else was shifted for us. Well, sometimes things can come in and make us do it. But, we are in this huge opportunity now of shifting individually and a collective. Like all the great, leaders or whatever you want to call them, talk about how we're in the most pivotal time of history. We are shifting to new levels of consciousness. We are in the next evolution, and it is an evolution of consciousness. And I think all these things and what you're talking about and dreams and connecting back to our own imagination and inspiration and coming back to wholeness is so, so, so vitally important. So what a timely, incredible conversation as well. I'm really appreciating it, and I'm just feeling so lit up by the conversation as well. And I'm just also curious as well, how important is interpretation when it comes to dreaming?
I think it's incredibly important. I think when you learn the language of your dreams, when you begin to learn some of the basic concepts, it can be one of our greatest teachers. Again, if you have all of the answers to all of life's big questions, how do you tap into those inner answers? And I think your dreams are trying to express them. Now, interpretation is tricky because no one can tell you what your dreams mean. We can have some archetypal patterns that might mean things across different cultures or different people, but ultimately your dreams are something that you need to learn to search for yourself. Where is the energy? Where is the emotion? What is it triggering? How are these situations similar to waking life experiences? How are they different? And once you really start to understand how your inner self is trying to communicate you, that's when you can really reap a lot of rewards. And, ultimately, one of the best examples I can give is I think our dreams are often trying to teach us a level of empathy, not only for ourselves, but to this wider collective, to the bigger consciousness that's going on here. And I always teach, one tool that you can really learn to use as an interpretive tool with your dreams is if there are other characters in your dream, how do you take on the viewpoint of those other characters rather than being in your own dream ego that witnesses the dream? Take on that person chasing you with a knife in the dream. What possibly could that person be trying to show you? Well, from the dream ego standpoint, it's probably, that person's coming to attack me. When you try on the role of one of these other characters, one of these other projections from your inner mind, you start to see things a little bit differently. Maybe that person's coming to protect you from the lion coming at you from behind. Maybe that person's coming at you to try and cut the piece of birthday cake that is sitting in surprise for you. As you start to play with your dreams, as you start to try on different characters, animals, scenarios, look at the means and modes of transportation that are showing up, looking at all of the basic architecture of your dreams, they essentially start to open your mind to wider perspectives, different viewpoints, different attitudes and beliefs, and ultimately, what is empathy but putting yourself in the shoes of others? And so dreams give you a way to continuously try this on so that you might be more empathetic and ultimately, hopefully, more compassionate to the wider consciousness that we're trying to create here.
Yeah, wow. I love the idea of playing around with this and different characters and what is seemingly really bad and really scary. Because as you say, we actually never know what it may be protecting us from or what's coming behind. So I really love that as well. Such a brilliant conversation. But I'm just wondering, just to wrap up as a final question, in any interviews you've done, has there been anything that you really wanted to be asked in relation to dreams that maybe you were never asked that you'd really love to mention or talk about?
Sure. One of I think the most critical, important aspect of starting a dream work practice, again, this very short practice of a few minutes of a day to connect into those 2 hours we spend dreaming every night, is ultimately that it's playful. And as any psychologist anywhere in the world will tell you, when we're in a state of play, we feel safe. We're in a state of safety. We're willing to experiment, to innovate, to try out new things. We feel secure. We don't worry about risks, or we don't go into fight or flight about people judging us or falling on our face. And so I think the most important aspect of dream work is that it's playful. And I know, something you speak about in empowering your mornings, setting the tone of your day by playing with your dreams, even for a few minutes, puts you into a playful mood walking into your day. And being in a playful mood to start your day really sets the tone for curiosity, explorativeness, a feeling of comfort and safety to try new things. And I think that's really important for all of us.
Wow. Yeah, epic. And I just had a moment there going, oh my God, I've never actually thought of playing that way, as in the amount of benefits it does give, as in you're so present, you're not worried about what's going to happen, you're like feeling safe and all those things. So wow, it's just added a whole new level to the importance of why play is vital throughout our everyday as well, even among and especially among all the mayhem. Cordell, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've absolutely loved connecting and talking with you today. And please share where people can find out more about your work if they wish to follow up or learn more.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Karen. It's been a real honor, a real pleasure as well. Anyone can find out more about courses, dream interpretation, personal coaching that I offer at my website, www.cordelljacks.com, on Instagram, Cordell.Jacks, or on Facebook, Cordell Jacks Dream Coach. And courses coming up. And like I said, anyone who wants to just experiment, is this something I'd be willing to try out in my life? Sign up for my free 7-day Dream Recall Challenge. I'll send you a video every day for a week, put you into practice, and quickly you'll see how meaningful and important an active dream life can be to you.
Amazing. Sounds fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing your time. And I know I'll definitely be going to sign up straight away to start my dream practice and engaging more. So thank you so much. And I just wish you continued success and lots of dream play.
Dream well, Karen. Thanks so much.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you get notified every time a new show is released. Get more information on this week's guest as well on my website, www.soulpowerlight.com.